Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Whenever you're watching, you know that it's going to be some good stuff. We're talking about a new series that we're doing that is Black Wall Street Mindset. And the reason we're doing this series is because we are a part of a thing that is called the Black Wall Street Forward Initiative. Now, this particular initiative is modeled on the pillars that made Durham's original Black Wall Street successful, and it aims to continue the legacy of this vibrant work by supporting and catalyzing local leaders, Black business owners, and champions. So today we have one of our champions that is going to be talking to us and giving us some insight into her version of Black Wall Street. So we have on the call today, we have Darlene, and she is the Business Solutions Officer for Carolina Small Business Development Fund. And it's a community development financial institution which provides technical assistance and funding to small businesses across the state. Now, she's going to be able to give us a whole lot of different information in regards to how businesses can get some access to capital, some of the things that she just wants to let you know about her own experience as far as with Black Wall Street. And so we're going to bring Darlene on right now. So Darlene, how are you, darling?
Good. I'm doing great, actually. I'm in holiday spirit, so
Well, that's a good thing. So just let's jump in with this because what
yes.
does it mean to you to have a modern Black Wall Street? What is your version of that?
Wow. So I was thinking about our time today, and one of the things that I think I'd like to share first is that as a high school student, I actually worked on Wall Street. I worked for Goldman Sachs, and I worked at a time when there was really a lot of big business. Wall Street was banging and booming at the time, but I was just a kid from Brooklyn, and so I saw the have and have nots in a lot of my life. Living in Brooklyn and then working on Wall Street, where there was an abundance of resources. But in Brooklyn at the time, it was going through the crack epidemic. And so people were struggling, and it was just really different. It was two different worlds. So when I think about, my journey to Durham and then finding out about the history in Durham, about the Black Wall Street history, and all of the NCM capital and all of the rich Black wealth history, the convergence of what I saw in New York and now what is or has been in Durham and what could be, it creates in my mind a possibility of something that maybe my younger self couldn't even perceive.
Mhm.
But now I see it as opportunity. I see it as information and informing, but also just a richness of people collaborating and really coming together like the Black Wall Street of the past. And so I think to encapsulate what I perceive it as a regeneration of collaborativeness and community and purpose that is really making available the ideation that it can be, but also taking it a step further and bringing it to light to it will be.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I love that idea, the way that you put it, because it's not that we're not doing things, right? But the key word that I think you used is collaboration, is doing the things together. And so, in the past, there wasn't a choice, right? Like there were specific Black neighborhoods, and everything that went on in that Black neighborhood was for the Black people in that Black neighborhood. And very rarely did you see things where you would have people of other cultures come into the neighborhood. Whereas now things are just so much more diverse that you may not necessarily see in a lot of places a specific Black neighborhood, right? Unless
Exactly.
make the choice to do that. But what you see now is a lot of gentrification. You see people, that were not in certain areas coming into areas now. And I think that that's not something that's just happening in Durham. It's something that's happening definitely in Brooklyn, because I know about being in Brooklyn,
Exactly.
Harlem. Right. And so when we see these things, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, the progression is great. The inclusivity is great, but I think sometimes we might miss the collaboration of just Black people.
Exactly. And I think, I think my ancestors are saying, pay attention,
Mhm.
right? Pay attention to each other, pay attention to where you spend your dollars, pay attention to how you can construct or destruct a economic system based on the choices you make every day. Like
Mhm.
that's what I hear them saying. I hear them saying we were intentional. We were very adamant about where we spent our dollars and how we put those dollars to work. But not only that, preserving them too,
Mhm.
because it was not just about the spend, it was also about the preservation and keeping that wealth, and being able to grow that wealth from the position of, yes, I have a small business, but did I just give myself a job, or did I really give myself an opportunity to reach out and have greater impact beyond myself?
Mhm. And there's a difference in that. I think one of the things, once you get into business, you'll realize that you're working harder for yourself than you ever work for anybody else, and that you probably work more hours than if you were working your regular job, right? So when you kind of look at the payoff of that, it is to be independent. But is it also going to do something where you're going to be able to provide jobs for other people and then continue to build on that? And I think a lot of times with, just the average, Black business, they may not make as much, but part of the reason that they don't make as much is always capital, right? So you need more
Yes,
capital. But it's not just capital that's financial, it is also capital that is knowing people and being
yes,
in those circles, and also legislature and the city council, and the things that maybe sometimes people don't get involved in because maybe they feel like that's for those people over there. But those are
yes.
things that make a difference. And so with what you're doing, specifically, I just want to know, like, what is your change quotient?
My change quotient. So, um, the position that I hold as a business solutions officer for or Carolina Small Business Development Fund puts me in a position to really have a maximum impact on people that are aspiring as entrepreneurs, and also people that may want to scale who already are in business. So I act as a business coach. And I think what I bring to that is, one, a rich history of being in business for myself. I did have an edible arrangements franchise. I had two locations. I held the franchise for about 12 years before, my husband and I, we just decided to do a life pivot. But I would say that, my experiences as a franchisee, but also being a part of the entrepreneurial culture of Durham and Raleigh, gives me a depth of insight that I think if I had not had those experiences, I wouldn't be able to. And some of it is like the emotional intelligence of it, people realizing that they are taking a venture, which means that you're taking financial risk. You may be risking, your assets or whatever the case may be, but being able to speak to that, the fears of that, but also, kind of on the other side of it, what is possible. And that's really where you put your dream in, when you dream about the possibilities of what you could have, and you're willing to work for it. And so I think my change quotient is being able to speak the truth of that, to say that it's not all going to be great, but a lot of it is going to be great. And I used to tell my team when we were working, I was like, every day we open these doors, today is a good day. Today is a good day. It's a good day to go to work. And what you realize is that you're putting something creatively or aesthetically, or even in terms of a service, out in the public, and people are choosing you. They're choosing to come to you. They're choosing to spend their dollars with you. And that in and of itself is success, and then we can start to count the money and see how things are falling in terms of the earning pieces of it. But I think just the idea that somebody is taking the braving it and opening their doors, like that is huge, to think that you can impact commerce and bring something creatively to the public. Maybe no one else has done it. That's huge in and of itself, And so I had a friend of mine that was in business prior to me being in business. And she told me, no matter where you land, you're successful, because 99% of the people thinking about business probably won't go into business.
Yeah, yeah.
But the 1%, the
And
ones
do
that
it.
decide to do it, I mean, that's success,
Yeah. And, one of the things that I want to touch on that you spoke about was people choosing you, right? And so, I like to think about, that you have all kinds of choices out there with what you can spend your money. And one thing I like to tell people is, they're choosing you a lot of times, even over other things that are necessities. So,
Yes.
more than likely, a good majority of our businesses, people may not have to survive, but they choose to spend their money with us, and it's
Yes.
something that is intrinsic to that individual company, that person that's running the company, that allows people to make that choice. Do you feel like there has been a push, or that there's been a regeneration of sorts, and not just necessarily from mainstream media, but more so from individual Black people who are starting these businesses, to really see, like, I could be the one that's chosen. I am going to do the things that are going to make people see that my business is valuable. And, I want to be a part of this whole Black Wall Street movement. And sometimes I don't think they realize it, but just, do you think that there is more of an interest now in
Mhm.
idea of a Black Wall Street and people being a part of that whole area of commerce?
Absolutely do. I reshared a post this past weekend about Black Wall Street Durham, and I think that there's a raised awareness and a raised consciousness. I will say, as Black people, we're educated. We're becoming more educated. As far as like home ownership, which is usually the path to wealth, more of us are becoming homeowners. I would say that there's intentionality around what our future really should look like, what we would like it to look like, particularly as we pass on wealth to our children and our children's children. Um, I do think that we're aware and we want to see change, and we're intentional about how we spend. So for myself personally, there were several proprietors that I've met over the course of the year, and as it becomes the holidays, like I'm conscientious, like I want to spend my money with some Black enterprises, right? I want to make sure that I'm able to contribute to that success story. And so I think there are others like me that are just really conscientious about it. I think social media is also a very powerful tool, and we can tell the story of how we come to Black business, or how we come to business in general, but just do it in excellence, right?
Yeah.
If there's only my only request is that we do it in excellence. We cannot anticipate or expect people to spend money with us if we're not doing it in excellence. So I would say yes, the intentionality is, and the desire is there, but also there's a desire to say yes. If I had to choose, I'm not making a lesser choice. I'm actually making an equal choice between who I want to spend with, and in this case, I want to spend with people that look like me.
I love that. And I think, when we talk about that and we talk about the intentionality of things, one thing that I would say is, sometimes even in efforts like this, they can be disjointed as much as we want them to be collaborative. So if you were to say, listen, I'm going to make sure that I spend with the Black enterprise, then I would say that as a member, so to speak, of this Black Wall Street movement, that we then have something where we, have a hashtag, we share it online, we let people know.
Yeah, that's a great
It's
idea.
like, it just, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, if you're buying, okay, good. But how many people did you tell that you specifically bought at a Black owned business? And so
Yeah.
I always make it a point to say, well, hey, this is a client, or this is a business that I like, even if they're not a client, and let people know that this is a Black owned or woman owned business. And, then what that does is, it's like, oh, okay, well, you're paying attention to it. Well, I should pay attention to it. And I don't
Yes.
think sometimes we realize how influential we can be as individuals to help grow these businesses, just from our own testimony, our own review, our own, okay, well, I'm endorsing this because I bought it. And even if I don't like it, I bought it one time. Let me just try it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Then once I like it, let me tell you it works. Let me tell you that this is a company that you should support. And I think that that makes a huge difference in it, in us being able to kind of coalesce our ideas. So with the team that we've chosen to be on the Durham team, our thing was we went with the black mindset, right? The
Yes,
Black Wall Street
yes,
mindset. So we chose to kind of combine what your idea was, storytelling, but
hmm,
also with a kind of a 1 day event, which would
yes,
focus on entrepreneurs going from being a black employee to turning
yes,
into a black entrepreneur. And so
yes,
I want you to touch on that really quickly, because me and you totally completely agree that everybody's not cut out to be an entrepreneur.
yes.
Um, and if you are, you should do things in excellence, like you said. So, can you give an idea to a person who's like, well, why should I come to this event that you guys are going to do? Because what's in it for me is what they're thinking.
Yeah, I love the question, and I think that the heart of Black Wall Street is exploratory. And this means that you may be in a place where the idea of entrepreneurship is bubbling up in you, but you really don't know what it means. You have kind of just flipped it over in your mind maybe a few times. Maybe there's a hobby that you do really, really well, and other people have told you you should monetize it. Maybe it's just a matter of it's something that you always aspired to do, but timing was not right. All of those are reasons to attend the conference. This is really a place to explore who you are in the ideation of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, textbook, it means taking risks. Yes. It means that you're proactive and seeking an opportunity. Yes. And it also means that you are taking advantage of market possibility. And so, really, now could be a great time. It could be right now, or it could be something that you come to, but then you kind of think about it later on. And when you're ready to launch, you will always have this knowledge. So nothing is wasted, whether or not you're what we call a nascent entrepreneur, someone who is just kind of in the exploratory phase of it, or you're someone who might be working a job and is later on down the line. Maybe you've had some, family members or relatives that were entrepreneurs and you're kind of curious about it. It's a great place to come and just explore. And I think we need to give ourselves permission to do that. We need to give ourselves permission to think, explore, dream beyond what today's possibility is. And I think also as the Black Wall Street of the past, that's what they had to do. They had to
Mhm.
think beyond what their reality was. And so, us giving ourselves permission to kind of be the same in that regard, to have thoughts that exceed what is the reality of today, to move beyond the limitations maybe that someone has put on you, to move beyond even what your own expectation has been. Um, this is a place to explore that. And I just really love the mindset because it all starts there. It all starts what you think about, what you believe about yourself. And our initiative is really focused in on you to have the capacity to expand your mindset, to breathe in the possibilities. And if you go away with nothing else other than, okay, they gave me a lot to think about, or you come away with, wow, I can do this. Both are winners.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing that you said right there was the exploration, right? Like, I mean, and the possibility of what could be, right? So when I think about that, I think about the fact that when we're creating a business, especially if we haven't done it before, it's something new, it's something fresh. And you might fail a little bit, but if you have the help and you
Yep.
have a base of people who still want to support you, I think oftentimes plenty of businesses have been able to not only just survive, but also thrive because of the fact of their community. And that's one of the
Exactly.
things we're definitely trying to create here. But the other thing that's missing is the money. So, with Charlotte Small Business Development and them working specifically with the ecosystem and really looking at how they can help Black businesses, can you tell us what the involvement is there and how people can be a part of whatever program that might fit them at a particular point in time to help them grow or start their business?
Absolutely, absolutely. Two things though. One thing that you said earlier was the social capital piece. And
Mhm.
I think that being a part of this conference helps you to build that social capital. As far as the Carolina Small Business Development Fund, we have lots of tools. We are, as you said earlier, a CDFI, community development financial institution. We work with municipalities. So right now we have the Durham Opportunity Loan Fund, which helps existing businesses gain access to capital of up to $35,000. It is through the city and county of Durham. And that particular program is for COVID impacted businesses. But the beauty of it is that it's interest rate is only 3%, which you will not find in a 7% prime interest rate environment that we have now. In addition, there is no personal credit checks. You have to have less than 500 employees, less than 5 million in sales or proceeds. And if you meet that criteria, basically it's open to you as an opportunity to expand and grow your business. But in addition to that, we're also SBA lenders. We can lend up to $350,000 to small businesses. This could be for a startup as well as existing businesses. Really what we're looking, we don't look at just the credit score as a part of the credit evaluation. We look at the whole picture of who you are. We look at the credit history, yes, but we also look at the assets. We look at the idea that you want to bring to market. We look at basically what the market entails and whether or not it makes sense from a pro forma standpoint, meaning that you can make money, because we don't want to have you taking risks that you're taking unnecessarily. So really making sure that your risks are sound and they're made with sound judgment. And so we're doing the same thing. Essentially, we're investing in your project as well. The other pieces of that, what we do, we also offer technical assistance. And so we're really part of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we work with, the small business and technology development centers, the small business centers. We work with other organizations such as Forward Cities and Provident 1898, which is the gathering co-working space where you will find a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs as well as entrepreneurs developing their skills. In addition to that, we are a policy institution, and we count the widgets, we count the metrics, because when it comes to the policy level and state and local and also the federal government, we have to tell the story about how we made impact, how many jobs were created, how much money came into the community as a result of this business being created or businesses being created. In addition to the populations that we target, which are women, minorities, and low to moderate income individuals. And so it's really like a trifecta, if you will. It's the piece that is lending, it's the piece that is technical assistance, and it's the piece that's policy, and all for the benefit of raising disparate communities that may or may not have access to capital in traditional means.
And so with all of that just that knowledge right there, a person could come out to this event and they could say, I need to talk to Darlene, right? Like that would be
absolutely.
That's what I need to talk to Darlene. She's the one I need to talk to.
Yes.
Now we also have a bunch of people that might be veterans as well. So when we talk about people that are veterans that are maybe transitioning, from different places in the military, when we talk about people that are just getting out of college and that want to start something, talking about people who want to retire and they don't want to do what they've done for the last 20, 30
exactly.
years. Business. So I think that when we look at the way that we specifically try to formulate this, right, and saying, Black employee to Black entrepreneur, it could be a lot of different areas that you may have touched, and now you want to go into entrepreneurship, but it doesn't mean that it has to be full-time.
Yes.
Do want to turn into a full-fledged, this is what I do business. It could be, what people like to call a side hustle, where you
yes.
a certain amount of money. And then I think one of the other things that we could also touch on is there may be somebody that's on disability, right? And they may not be able to actually make over a certain amount because that might be a disability. But having a business on the side, where you can make a certain amount could be something that could be, really great. And we do recognize too that everybody may not necessarily need capital as far as extra capital. Like they may have what they need to start, but if that situation does arise, then now they know that they can come to you specifically, over at Carolina Small Business Development in order to be able to seek that funding. And then they can also kind of find out, well, what's necessary, right? So
Yes.
come out, then this way, you can say, well, I didn't know what I needed to have together, right? And so if there's like a list of these are the things that we need to have in order for you to be able to get a loan, right? They can at least
Yes.
start working on getting those things together, even if they're not ready now. And I think that, when you talk about this and being a coach and a counselor, it's not just, well, no, we're not going to give you any money, but it's a
Right.
reason why maybe you won't get the money now. But if you did X, Y, and Z, if you were in business for this amount of time, if you can show income, like there could be a lot of different reasons why people don't get the funding that they need. And oftentimes they don't even ask why. So
Right.
just being able to be there, to have those conversations, to be able to see the other people that are in the room, the day that we have the event, I think that it will bring them closer and it will help them create their own community and see people that are inside of the community that are specifically working to help them, be more successful with their businesses.
Exactly.
So with your personal story, right? I just want, if you have maybe like 2-3 minutes or so, is there any personal story that maybe you want to tell the people that is inspiring to them about just Black Wall Street, your experience or anything? Just give us, if you got like a little 2-3 minute story.
I would say basically my decision to go into business for myself. It came at a time when my children were younger, and I found myself working for an organization that was very rigid. It didn't give me the flexibility that I needed to, be a proper mom to date Danielle and David. And so I really started to look for opportunities, and it just so happened that as I started to look for those opportunities, I noticed like the wisdom of, I want to say, I call it God, but I would say the wisdom of God and the universe, whatever you call it started to track me. And literally I was at my home in Brooklyn, and I saw this franchise, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. I wonder if they have that in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was on the plane, and I saw advertisement for the same franchise, and I was like, wait a minute.
That's 2 times. Okay.
This is twice.
Was it a third time? Because I believe in threes. Was it something?
Exactly. Well, I think the third time was just a matter of finding out more information. And then I kid you not, a chocolate covered orange sold me a franchise. I tell that story because it was so good. And I was like, yes, I'm onto something. And as it turns out, we ended up being the first edible arrangements in Durham.
Okay.
And then we expanded over to Raleigh a couple of years later. But I think that just the idea that I wasn't in a situation where I was getting what I needed, and the door opened for me to have what I needed in every sense of the word, And not only that, but I will also say this inspirational piece. Our first major holiday was Valentine's Day, 1997. We failed miserably.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. It was so crazy. We had so much business. We didn't know what to do. It was a popular item. We were the first ones in the market. We had been there since April. So, we were kind of gaining momentum. And it was just like, it was terrible. It was terrible. So, customer complaints and the whole nine. So the next year we were like, okay, now we know what this is about. Mm-hmm. So we made a game plan and we executed it perfectly. But what I will tell you is that my community, people that were friends, family, church members, just everybody came through the shop, offered to lend a hand. That was Black Wall Street.
That was definitely Wall Street.
That was a community that did not want to see me fail. And I just tell you, the inspiration is that this is a magical place. This is an environment where people support and really, really believed in the possibility of a greater and better life. And so my inspiration is your inspiration to believe. If you believe it, someone else will believe it with you. Bring it forward.
I love that. And that is a perfect way to end this. So, guys, I don't have anything else to say because she said it all, and that inspiration was exactly what we needed. So, check the links below so that this way you can find out more about our event that we're going to be doing, Black Wall Street Mindset, where we're specifically talking about Black employee to Black entrepreneur. And we'll see you because we have some more people that are on our team that will be doing some more videos. And so, this was wonderful. And maybe when you come out, maybe she can tell us that story about that chocolate covered orange. Like I did orange story now. So you just might hear that story when you come out to the event. Well, Darlene, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
thank you for watching. Make sure that you share this and make sure that you use the hashtag Black Wall Street Mindset so that this way we know that you're paying attention to what we're doing here specifically. Yes. And then this way we can go ahead and continue to influence our community and continue to grow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.